Yeah, I think so.
So in a live game, you saw him play the way he played and still question if he can do the same thing when he has the actual starters at his disposal. We saw it show up. The fact that he's not getting first team reps with the ones or the twos and still went out there and looked the way he did.
He's an accurate thrower, doesn't have a huge arm, moves okay, and when he's got to make big throws in the red zone, he's pretty damn good at it. That's my take. Yours.
Shedeur Sanders is once again facing resistance, as reports suggest Kevin Stefanski still isn't ready to hand him the edge over Dillon Gabriel. And with that news breaking, Emmanuel Ocho and Shannon Sharpe wasted no time going in on Stefanski's decision. Ocho didn't mince words, he called out Stefanski directly, questioning how the Browns coach could watch Shedeur deliver in real NFL games and still hesitate to give him the starting reps. "You've seen the proof," Ocho said, "so why are you still guessing at his potential?" Shannon Sharpe came at it from another angle, and it cut just as deep. He challenged Stefanski's reasoning head-on, asking, "If you're doubting Shedeur Sanders against Kenny Pickett, what makes you so certain Pickett would do any better?" The underlying message from both: the hesitation isn't making sense anymore. Shedeur's earned the chance to prove himself. Now it's on the Browns to stop stalling.
My thing is, he says no reasonable person thinks Sanders will be fully ready to lead a team and consistently attack a complicated NFL defense 3 weeks from now. What about Dillon Gabriel? Has he shown you enough?
Reports are swirling that the Cleveland Browns don't believe Shedeur Sanders can handle a complex defense, but let's be honest, this isn't about football. This is about the deep-seated bias and animosity that's been directed at Shedeur from the start, and it's the very reason this narrative is being pushed. Shannon Sharpe didn't hold back. He flat out asked the question everyone's thinking: how do the Browns know Dillon Gabriel can do what they're claiming? The reality: Dillon's practice performances have been anything but convincing. When Shedeur sat out during certain training sessions, Gabriel was gifted every opportunity to shine. No pressure from Shedeur, no excuses, and yet in one of those key moments, he completed just 11 of 22 reps, a 50% completion rate. That's with all eyes on him, in a low-pressure, controlled environment. If that's your starter, you've got problems. And it's not just one bad day. This is a pattern. On day 8 of camp, arguably his worst showing, Gabriel completed just 3 passes out of 14 attempts. 11 passes were so far off target they didn't stand a chance. That's not rust, that's not bad luck, that's a quarterback getting exposed. From the very first snap that day, the defense had him figured out. They read his intentions like a book. No rhythm, no field awareness, no precision. The more he struggled, the more glaring the gap between him and Shedeur became. It's why a growing number of respected football analysts have concluded that Dillon Gabriel is simply not a future starter for the Browns. He doesn't have the attributes, the decision-making, or the consistency. Yet, inexplicably, Cleveland's leadership keeps floating his name as if he's the answer. The question is, why? When you've got Shedeur Sanders in the building, fully healthy, locked in, and consistently delivering at a level Gabriel hasn't touched, the decision to hold him back stops making football sense. It starts looking like something else entirely. Up next, we're breaking down exactly what top-tier sports journalists have said about Gabriel's ability to lead, and why their verdict might just confirm what Shedeur's supporters have been saying all along.
I can't imagine there's many people that think Dillon Gabriel's a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. I don't care where they were drafted. And if the Browns are the one team that thinks that, then I'm going to suspect it's not true. They don't know what they're doing.
They've been on every quarterback evaluation for 30 years.
Right.
I never root against anybody.
Yeah.
But I'd be surprised if Dillon Gabriel's ever a legitimate starting quarterback for the Cleveland.
Shannon Sharpe didn't just offer a mild critique. He unleashed a full-on offensive against Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski, making it crystal clear that in his eyes, this situation has far less to do with Shedeur Sanders' actual performance, and far more to do with something deeper. Sharpe flat-out accused Stefanski of pushing an agenda, one that fixates on what Shedeur supposedly can't do, while deliberately ignoring the long list of things he's already proven he can do on the field. But Sharpe didn't stop there. He suggested that this bias might not even originate with Stefanski alone. In his view, there's a strong possibility that pressure is coming from higher up in the Browns organization, pressure that could be influencing the coach's decisions, shaping the team's internal politics, and ultimately clouding his judgment when it comes to giving Shedeur a fair opportunity to compete for the starting job. The implication was clear. This could be less about on-field merit and more about internal agendas and power plays behind closed doors. And then came Stefanski's own words. When the head coach was finally pressed on Shedeur Sanders' status during a recent press conference, fans hoping to hear recognition of Shader's poise, accuracy, or ability to command an offense were left disappointed. Instead of offering any direct praise, Stefanski chose to emphasize only the areas that still need improvement. He carefully avoided highlighting any of Shedeur's successes, sidestepped his standout preseason moments, and never once acknowledged the very real progress he's made since stepping into the league. For Sharpe, that was all the proof he needed. In his mind, this wasn't a case of a coach cautiously managing expectations. It was a deliberate attempt to keep the narrative centered on Shedeur's perceived weaknesses rather than his undeniable strengths. The focus wasn't on what Shedeur brings to the team, but rather on what the Browns claim he lacks. This raises a troubling question for fans and analysts alike. Is Kevin Stefanski truly evaluating his quarterbacks based on performance? Or is Shedeur being strategically overlooked to protect a decision the organization has already made behind the scenes? When you combine Stefanski's public comments with the consistent pattern of underplaying Shedeur's accomplishments, it's hard not to suspect that the deck might already be stacked against him, no matter how well he plays. Because here's the truth, in the NFL, perception matters just as much as performance. If a coach refuses to publicly acknowledge a player's strength, it shapes how the front office, the media, and even the fan base view that player. And right now, the narrative around Shedeur Sanders seems to be less about his potential as a starting quarterback, and more about keeping him in the background, regardless of what he's done to earn a bigger role. The bigger question now becomes, is this simply a matter of Stefanski protecting his own preferred QB plan, or are we watching a textbook case of an organization trying to control the story before the season even begins? One thing's for sure, Sharpe isn't buying the excuses, and neither are a growing number of Browns fans who see this as an unnecessary roadblock, standing between Shedeur Sanders and the opportunity he's already earned.
But I thought the guys did a really nice job of Shedeur and operating, the guys making plays, so again, a ton to teach off of.
Ocho jumped in with fire, challenging Kevin Stefanski's stance head-on. How can Stefanski even say that Shedeur can't do this? The whole world has seen what he can do. He reminded everyone that this wasn't some new narrative. Shedeur has been fighting and winning these battles for years. From his days at Jacksonville State to the national spotlight, Shedeur has been doubted at every turn, and at every turn he's answered with performance, not words. Ocho pointed out that Shedeur's entire career has been one long receipt book, proof after proof, game after game, showing that no matter the stage, no matter the challenge, he rises to meet it. So why, Ocho asked, were people still so determined to overlook what's right in front of them? Why keep clinging to doubt when the evidence is clear and undeniable?
Wait a minute, but where's the can't coming from when we just saw him do it? I know it's a small sample size, it's 3/4 of football, but everything you said he can't do, he just did. Matter of fact, he just did what we already saw him do at Jackson State. He just did what we saw him do at Colorado.
Ocho didn't just make his point, he drove it home. He reminded everyone that Shedeur Sanders had already proven himself on the NFL stage, and he did it while playing with 3rd and 4th string talent. No starting receivers, no top-tier offensive line, no luxury of practicing against first-team defenses, and yet Shedeur still delivered. Ocho's message was crystal clear. If Shedeur can shine with minimal support, imagine what he could do with the right pieces around him. It's a compelling what-if that makes the Browns' hesitation even harder to justify. Shannon Sharpe, Ocho, and a growing chorus of analysts have called out the disconnect between Shedeur's production and the opportunities he's being given. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel's numbers, shaky accuracy, inconsistent reads, and lack of rhythm only add fuel to the fire. When you lay the stats side by side, it's not even close. And yet, the Browns seem determined to back Gabriel, raising the uncomfortable possibility that bias, organizational politics, or both are playing a role. The truth is, this isn't just about one quarterback battle. It's about whether a team is willing to reward proven performance over preconceived narratives. And right now, Cleveland's decision-making is looking more like a gamble than a strategy. So here's the question, is this simply a coach protecting his guy, or is there a deeper agenda keeping Shedeur Sanders from getting the role he's earned? And if the Browns stay the course, could it cost them not just games, but their future?